Devin, when you look at now the series being over, how would you assess why it led to a sweep?
I would say the details. I've been on a pretty successful team. KD's won a ring. Coach Fizdale's been a part of the Miami Heat. Coach Vogel won one with the Lakers, and I think everybody would say, these are the time that the details matter, and it's something that, we kind of passed by and, didn't think was a big deal, but came back and bit us in the ass.
Is that we feel like happened maybe in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter where there were some turnovers, some breakdowns there? Is that where it really showed up, you think, in the game tonight in particular?
Well, you just switched it up on me. I was going generally the whole entire series, but I would have to watch it back to kind of pinpoint it. But yeah, they were executing late and we didn't.
What unlocked you tonight?
We played a lot of small ball, so just try to space Rudy out, keep him out of the paint. It's been successful. Some teams have played him off the court before, and we're kind of in desperation mode, so that's what we went to.
The only other thing I had was you've been someone that's obviously once you got to the finals, that's all you wanted to do was get back to the finals and compete for a championship. So how has these years since been frustrating where you go through a season and not get back to that place you want to get back to?
Well, I want to win it. I don't want to get back. And it's a tough league. At the end of all this, there's going to be one winner. And everybody that doesn't win is going to go into somewhat of a panic mode and feel like they have to make changes and do this and do that. But, I think over time, experience is, the best teacher. So, the more that you can spend time together and, feel this hurt together and go through it together, the better off you are in the future.
Book, I know this is a hard question to answer after the season just ended, but when you look at your guys' year as a whole with all the injuries and the ups and downs that you had, why do you feel like it just wasn't ultimately able to come together?
The details.
And when you look at this series, I'm sure you're going to say details, but when you look at the fight that you guys showed tonight compared to the first 3 games, did it feel like anything changed in this one in that regard?
I think pride was on the line, but, everybody's response is that it should have been from the start, and, I completely agree.
Book, what are the details you're talking about?
It's, I don't want to have an X and O conversation with you right now, but, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, the most extra possessions you can get, spacing on the floor, you name it, free throw box out. I think the teams that get the most possessions and extra possessions, and I'm thinking back to the finals year, that's what Milwaukee did to us too. They miss a shot and, crash 4 or 5 people and, turn it into, a war in the paint. So, there's a lot of details to the game that go into it. But I've always been saying it all year, communication trumps all. So, and we weren't good with that this year.
So obviously all of this has to be addressed going into next year.
Has to be what?
Addressed going into next year?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully everybody's feeling the same type of hurt. And, it has to be fixed. I have to be better. Kevin has to be better. Brad has to be better. Coach has to be better. If we're the leaders of the team, we can't be out there unprepared.
Book, when you look at the partnership with you and Kevin this year, how did that grow and how optimistic are you about it in the future with you two together?
It continues to grow. We were the core of the team that felt this hurt last year and, added a bunch of guys around. So, chemistry and time spent, like I said earlier, is the best teacher.
Trying not to ask you the same thing here in regards to the details, but offensively, it seemed like stylistically you guys just couldn't find the right balance. What do you think that came down to in terms of movement was there some nights, movement wasn't there some nights? What do you think that came down to?
That's what you said. They play a bigger lineup and you try to play a faster paced game. They put McDaniels on me and on Brad and, harass you all the way down the court and try to funnel you to Rudy at the rim. So it's a great game plan.
You mentioned the three of you needing to be better, coach needing to be better. Do you feel like you guys had enough roster-wise to win with this group?
Yeah, roster-wise, everybody talks about the firepower, but you look around the league, it comes down to the details. I don't want to keep saying that, but it's a super important thing. You can't just go out there and think you're going to win off talent. The game is more complicated than that.
What actually worked for Anthony Edwards tonight on their side of the ball, where you guys basically bottle him up, and those first, the second and third game, and of course tonight he just went off.
Yeah, I think there's a form of over-adjusting too. After game 2, I think we did a really good job with him, and went into game 3 and kind of got strung out. We were trying to trap him all over the place once he gets it going, but he's a great player, and if you're trying to put 2 on the ball so far away from the rim, he can usually get around the big or split the big and create an advantage on the backside.
Despite you guys not getting as far as you wanted to go, would you consider there's some consolation in nearly getting the 50 wins with this group, despite all that you've went through this year?
No.
The communications that you're talking about, is it a top-down thing from the coaching staff to the players, or like as a group, could you communicate better as you three guys dealing with the rest of the team? What's the whole scope of that?
It was the names that I listed, starting with myself and KD, Brad, and Coach. Yeah, starts from the top, trickles down from there.
Thanks, folks.
Yep.